Today we have a farmer-to-farmer volunteer from United States. And can you please introduce yourself and why you are in Nepal, especially in this Galyang municipality?
Yes. First of all, I'm very pleased to be here. Um, I'm working with CRS here in Nepal under a program called Farmer to Farmer. And Farmer to Farmer program encourages exchange of information from U.S. Expertise to other countries. It's funded by U.S. Agency for International Development, and I retired from U.S. Agency some 20 years, 15 to 20 years ago. And since then, I've been doing this volunteer work with Farmer to Farmer. My particular role here has been to look at the goat sector and to provide training, information, and sort of an assessment of how the goat sector is going, how best we can help the goat producers here in Nepal. I've been in several countries up to this time, about 6 or 8.
Since that we are almost at the end of this assignment, can you please explain about your approach in this training?
The main approach here has been very, I think, unique in that we're working directly with the municipality, the Galyang Municipality, technicians and people. And we decided that we would visit farmers the first 3 or 4 days, and that I would try to assess where I see training might be needed, might be helpful. And then, in addition to training some of the farmers, we developed a training program for the Galyang Municipality technicians, extension agents, really. And then we focused on those issues that we noticed needed further training so that the Galyang Municipality technicians could take those trainings to the farmers.
Now that you have spent almost about a week in this area, what are the different good aspects that you have seen in goat farming in Nepal? Especially, when you see these goat farmers, their energy, their vigor, what positive signs do you see in this sector?
Well, as I mentioned, I've been with the Farmer to Farmer program now about 8 to 10 years, and I've visited probably a dozen countries, all of them looking at the goat sector and how it could improve. What I noticed here in Nepal is the energy level of the producers. They're very interested in learning new things, very open to any ideas, and so it's a very enjoyable time to train people when they're in that condition. I think they have a huge amount of potential. They're already producing quite well compared to many countries, and I think that probably reflects the market for goat meat here in Nepal, which is quite strong. I understand there's a fair amount of importation of goat meat to meet the market, and it was the same in some other countries I was in. And so the main effort is to try to get the local producers up to the level of meeting that market. And hopefully our training will have pushed them further on that.
Have you seen some of the have you identified some room for improvement for these farmers? Or for what can the local government in this area do in order to help these farmers,
Yes. Of course, one of the main things you always look at with goat production is the parasite issue, intestinal parasites. And that too is an issue here. But a little bit different here, we decided that there would be a useful approach to talk about when to treat animals. There is an issue of building up resistance in the nematode intestinal parasite population if they're treated routinely year after year. So we introduced a very interesting program of testing how the level of intestinal parasites in the animal before you treat it. And that particular program is called FAMACHA, and it's used worldwide. And what we've done here is train the extension agents in FAMACHA, and then turned over to them the apparatus to do that testing. And we've got these technicians now trained and locally certified to do this FAMACHA test. So I think that will be a big help to the whole sector. In terms of what the municipality could do, they're already doing, just in the example of this training where I'm involved with it, I believe the municipality requested CRS to bring in expertise to try to do this type of training. That's an excellent role for the municipality to be sort of, heading up that effort to bring in technical expertise, and that's what they're doing. And that's very, very helpful.
And during the trainings, we have talked about the different breeds of goat. And do you like the idea of using Boer cross or pure Boer goat in Nepal?
Well, what I noticed here early on, and I've seen it in almost every country I've been in the goat sector, there's a very highly productive strain of goat called the Boer goat, which was developed in South Africa. And it attracts certainly a lot of attention from producers because it's a very large, meaty goat. And so one of the issues that we talked about a lot with farmers was the crossing of that Boer goat with the local curry goat here is a good way to increase meat production from those offspring in the first cross of that Boer goat with a curry. There is evidence that the Boer goat cross does may have less fertility than the straight breed curry. It's the same with some other breeds. So the theory is to use the Boer goat, the Boer buck, to father kids that are going to go to market because they'll be heavier, but not to retain the does of that cross in the breeding herd because you may see some reduced fertility, and that's been proven.
And now we are at the end of our interview, and the final question is that can you compare the Nepalese goat farming scenario with the United States? In what aspects there are similarities and the differences as well?
Well, I focus on the similarities, certainly. In the United States, the market for goat meat is on the rise, and it's rising all the time. So there's been a real response to increased meat goat production in the U.S. The production system is a little different in that in the U.S. you have large pastures, a lot of rangeland to use, so you have grazing situation. Here in Nepal, at least out here in this municipality, I see there's a lot of cultivation of crops in the area, so it's important to keep goats confined. And so that's done with, they're doing a very good job of that, by the way, with the shelters that they're building. They're using goat shelters exactly like you're supposed to, with a slatted floor, and it works very well. So, yeah, those are the differences.
Okay, Dennis, thank you so much for this short session with us, and we are really thankful for your presence in Nepal, and we hope to see you again anytime in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.